welcome to a very special episode of Chase Your Dream. We have among us Dr. Ghosh. Dr. Ghosh, welcome to my show.
Thank you.
As we all know that we are facing a pandemic right now, and there are a lot of straits which are coming up and a lot of hazards, and people have a lot of doubts in their mind. So my aim is to clear few of the doubts. Presently, I was discussing with few friends. They were discussing about brain fog. So we would really like to understand what is COVID brain fog.
Right. See, brain fog is kind of confusional state of mind when you have a COVID because of some other reasons. Lot of reasons may be there. So at the end of the day, what happens that your brain is not functioning properly. It's not processing the information properly. You are having a confused state of mind. The reason behind is, first of all, that COVID gives us a lot of stress in our mind. We are all stressed out about the COVID, how severe it can be. So when you hear that you have COVID, it immediately causes a lot of mental stress. On top of that, most of the time, what we have to give the patient steroids. And in some cases, steroid can usually cause something called steroid psychosis. There is some mental confusion, some dysfunction of brain. And on top of that, if you are in the hospital setup, if you are not being able to see outside, you are not being able to see all your friends and families, all unknown people around you. So that also gives an immense stress in the mind. So altogether, the patient develops a kind of mental trauma and confusion, little bit of clouding. It's a kind of clouding of mind. You can't think properly, you can't act properly, you can't recall things properly. So that thing is quite common in COVID.
So those patients who are suffering from COVID-19, is it a common phase for them to be in COVID fog? How to correlate this?
See, not always, because we all are different individuals. We all have different state of mind. We all have different strengths of mind. So we all deal with the crisis differently. So not all the time everybody will have the same kind of issues. But yeah, if mostly nowadays we are overburdened with the information, right? We are always going through internet, TV news channels everywhere. Even in the podcast, we are discussing about COVID. So a lot of information and mental stress together. On top of that, when you got that COVID, you were thinking that you are going to get all the difficult problems of COVID by yourself. So it's most of the time it's true. It's happening. For a quite number of patients.
This fog, which is we are talking about, is it we are facing it in the actually rather we as a common people came to know on the second phase itself? Was it common in the first phase also?
Yes, of course it was there. But first phase we were much more stuck with the outcome of the disease, what to be done. So right now we know a little bit about the disease. I won't say that we know much about the disease, but little bit we know about the disease, how to manage the disease. So extra informations now we are gathering. We are focusing on the mental part. Initial part we never thought of taking care of the agony and stress and these things. But this time, yeah, we are much more comfortable, and we're taking care of that also.
So how long does this COVID fog is there? Means if a person is affected, how long it is severe for them to?
It depends on certain things, right? First of all, suppose it's all because of steroid, then you just remove the steroid from the treatment list, if possible. Then it will be gradually over. But if it doesn't, then probably you are in the hospital. We say that it's something called ICU psychosis. It's very common in the hospital setup. We have noticed and dealt a lot of patients in our ICUs, having this kind of problem. So when they go home, the treatment for that is the discharge the patient when stable. So as soon as they go home, they see the familiar faces around, they do the regular jobs. These problems generally disappear over a period. But because of the COVID itself, if it's affecting the brain, it depends on the severity of the disease, how much it's affecting, how long the patient is suffering. So it's nothing hard and fast rule that how I mean much longer it's going to stay. But yeah, it depends on the severity of the disease, I'd say.
So, what helps with treating brain fog caused due to COVID?
See, I mean, first of all is the confidence of the patient, right? So, I mean, two things are there. Suppose you are giving some medicines which is causing the brain fog, like I said, steroid, then you remove that. Sometimes, a lot of patients for any blood pressure problem, they are taking some medicines which generally causes, low sodium in the body. That can also aggravate the brain fog. So you remove that. You just find out if the sodium is low. If the sodium is low, you just stop that medicine which might cause a low sodium in the body, and you try to correct the sodium. Then it will gradually overcome. And third of all, the excessive stress. What I felt all the time, that patients are very much stressed, and patient and their families all together. So we all have to understand. We have to be a little more confident about the disease. That okay, I mean, yes, we are losing some patients, we should not get the disease, but okay, most of the patients, most of us are going to be fine after the disease, and we will have a normal life within a few weeks. So just this kind of confidence, that helps in healing process for both COVID and for the brain purpose also.
So, when should you see a doctor about your symptoms? Because now the symptoms are getting changed every day. Every day something new strains are adding up. So when should go to a doctor currently?
For COVID?
Yes, for COVID or brain fog, whatever.
See, I mean, for brain fog, it's very difficult for you to understand that because you are not in your proper senses. That's why. So if the family members are going to notice that, they are going to take you to the doctor. Itself for COVID also. So, see, I mean, we just make fun of COVID. That's a very common term we are using nowadays. I mean, COVID can cause any kind of disease except pregnancy. So, I mean, anything can happen with COVID. It can have, it could be headache, it could be a weakness, it could be a fever, it could be a loose motion, only body pain, whatever it is. There are several presentations. So if you have any symptoms like that, or if the fever or something is persisting for more than 2 days, then probably first when you think that you might have COVID, you just isolate yourself, keep there for 2 to 3 days. Take a lot of water, drink a lot of water, and take paracetamol if required. And then even after that, if the fever persists or you have some other symptoms, then go ahead and see a doctor.
So nowadays people talk a lot of things about antibodies. So I would like to understand about COVID-19 and antibodies.
See, antibody is kind of a memory in your body. Like, so the virus came in my body. So this is new virus, new molecule to my body. So my body starts fighting this virus, and they make some, the body produces some chemical to fight against the virus, right? That is called the antibody. In common term, if I'd like to, make you understand about the situation. So what happens that your body starts fighting, it produces the antibody, the defense mechanism of your body just to fight the virus. So what happens next time if the virus attacks you again, your body knows that this is old enemy. I know this virus before, and I have the weapon in my body already made. So I'll use that. It's ready-made in the body, already ready-made. So that's called antibody. It's just against the virus, some chemical which body produces just to fight the virus. And next time, the problem with antibody staying in the body, how long the antibody is persisting in the body, we are discussing quite a lot. Because as long as the antibody is in your body, in your bloodstream, your body knows that if the virus comes again, he knows that I have the, instrument, I have the chemical to fight against it. So it's ready-made already. So it's very, very ready-made response from the body. So that's how antibody is important. And for COVID, we initially thought that maybe if you have a COVID once, you are going to get an antibody for lifelong. It's not happening quite nowadays. So so far we can understand that at least for 3 months you are safe. You are having a good level of antibody in your bloodstream. So probably within next 3 months, if you get another attack from the same virus, your body knows, the body will immediately start fighting the virus and destroy it.
What after that 3 months?
See, that's little confusing. That's why the point of vaccination came. So what happens is, by the vaccination, what we give some dead virus. If I say you, I mean, in other way, inactivated virus in the body. So some virus formulation in the body we are injecting. So the body knows that this can be an enemy. It's a pseudo enemy. It's not the enemy exactly, but the body starts producing antibody against it. So though you were not infected, you got a pseudo infection in your body, and your body starts recognizing the virus, recognizing the antigen, and start producing antibody. So different, vaccination has different kind of antibody production in the body. Some vaccination takes 1 dose, some vaccination takes 2 doses. But after that, what we are expecting is that we are going to get a long-term immunity in our system. But though it is a very new virus, novel virus, just 1.5 year, of age, so we don't know how it's going to actually, act. So maybe after 2-3 years, we will be much more confident about the antibody and protection against the virus in the bloodstream.
Throw some light on life after COVID. Will it be same after I recover, or how it is?
Most of the time, yes, it will be same. Okay. So we have seen a lot of patients having a very bad CT scan, requiring a lot of oxygen. But after 2-3 months, when we have repeated the CT scan, we have found out it's totally normal CT scan. So that's how it acts. That's how it happens. So most of the main problem is that psychological problem. That most of the time you feel that probably after COVID you are having some breathing problem. Probably you are having just some chest heaviness. So this is very common because you are always concentrating on your chest, on your breathing part. Just very, very minute change, or you try to find out that if there is any problem. So it's very easy to find out some problem. You might always feel that I'm having some breathing problem. So what's my suggestion on that if you have a feeling like that, we all have a pulse oximeter at our home right now. Check your oxygen level. If your oxygen level is more than 95 and your heart rate is less than 100, probably it's only anxiety related. So most likely, so you will be at least assured that it's nothing difficult situation is arising. And also, initial first few days you might have some cough, you might have some palpitation, some difficulty in breathing after walking for quite a while. And most of the time, if you have seen any patients of COVID, I'm sure that all of our friends and families, somebody has suffered from COVID. It makes them so weak. So, recovering from this weakness takes a lot of time. We have not yet, got any permanent solution for this weakness. What we suggest, some vitamins, some rest. So to drink a lot of water, probably that helps a little bit, but it takes time to come out of the weakness part. But after 2-3 months, most of us will be going to get a totally normal life like pre-COVID state.
So why we are discussing about vaccination also. So will COVID-19 vaccination provide long-term protection?
See, here comes the question. So what? You see, nowadays we are listening to a term is called mutation, viral mutation, genetic mutation, this term. So every day, virus is also very intelligent. He is changing his, I'd say that
the variants rather.
So, it's changing its outer appearance. So when it comes to my body, if the same enemy comes, so I know that this is the enemy. So if it comes in a different dress, different costume, probably there is a chance that I'll be fooled by that enemy, and he can enter in my room. So same thing can happen in COVID also, that with these mutations, we don't know how much mutations are going to happen. So what we are suspecting right now, if major mutations are going to happen over couple of years, probably then we might require yearly vaccination like influenza. But right now we are not in a point of telling something concretely. We have to wait and see.
So how quickly this COVID-19 vaccines can stop pandemic? Or will it be rather stop pandemic or how?
See, I mean, vaccine is definitely one of the weapon, but you can't even wait for the vaccine to, because in the population of India or population of the world, to get vaccinated for each and every person is 3-4 years job.
Yes.
So you don't expect it just by vaccination you are going to get the protection. Before that, you have to trust about your herd immunity, because a lot of people in the first wave and the second wave already got infected with the virus, so it gives a little bit of herd immunity. So total society, most of the people in their body, they develop some antibody response. On top of that, few people got vaccinated, and a lot of people are going to be vaccinated very soon, near future. So of course, over time, it's going to reduce the pandemic part because of vaccination. But yeah, it's long-term process, probably 1 year or so for now.
So can we stop precautions after we being vaccinated?
For me, if you ask me, no, you can't stop. Reasons are very simple. First of all, is that vaccine gives precaution, but after the vaccination, the second wave, we have lost so many doctors in our same fraternity. Most of them got vaccinated, both got 2 shots of vaccine, but even after that, we could not save them. So it's not 100% foolproof. It's effective, definitely it's effective. So it's something better than nothing. So you take that, but don't expect that after vaccination you will be totally free. On top of that, suppose I am vaccinated, my child at home is not vaccinated. So if I am carrying the virus from outside without taking proper precaution, and I am giving the infection to them, then it's unfortunate. We cannot have the luxury to do that. So we have to follow the basic principles. That's frustrating, but no other choice.
Can I have the second dose of vaccination different from the first dose?
Right now, the recommendation is no. Several studies are coming by mistakes. Somewhere, some people has got different vaccination, different way. We don't know the way the shuffling of the vaccination is going to help the patient or going to be give you some adverse reactions. But as of now, what's our opinion is no. The first vaccine, the same vaccine you should take for the second dose.
Is vaccination recommended for children?
See, right now, below 18 years, it's not recommended. But the Pfizer vaccine is coming to India, I heard, and they say that it's over 12 years you can give the vaccine. Of course, we have to find out some vaccine which will be safer in children, and probably these vaccines in lower dose, I don't know, the researches must be going on. So we'll come up with some ideas that how to vaccinate the children. But as of now, no, below 18 you shouldn't give, as of today.
So should I be vaccinated if I have COVID-19?
Yes, after 3 months. Initially, we had some doubt. Probably later on, the recommendation can even change. But as of now, the current recommendation is that if you have a COVID, you should take the vaccine only after 3 months.
3 months. Okay. Do vaccines protect against all variants? It again goes to
the variants. So we don't know. Probably some other new mutants will come. Then the vaccination may not be helpful. But as of now, most of them are effective against different mutations so far available.
So with COVID nowadays, we are also hearing about black fungus. So what exactly is black fungus?
See, black fungus is a kind of fungus. It's always there. It's in the soil. It's in wet places. It's everywhere. So why don't we get infected with the black fungus? Because our body easily kills that fungus when it comes to contact to our body. So it doesn't infect in our body or get bigger and bigger and make symptoms in our body. But when you have COVID, your immunity is already lost. Immunity is already, that time it's compromised. On top of that, we are using a lot of steroids. We know that we have to give a lot of steroids. That even reduces the immunity. On top of that, the oxygen system, the usage of oxygen system, when you are particularly using moist oxygen comes like a bubble from some water, and the water is not well purified, then probably from that way you can get the infection in your body. Earlier days we got this mucormycosis or black fungus in the patients of, suppose, very severely immunocompromised, like AIDS patients or some different cancer patients. But now with the usage of steroid in COVID patients, with random usage of steroid is getting prevalent in India.
So you mean to say this sudden increase in the black fungus is because of this COVID, which is a pandemic right now?
Not because of COVID, because of the steroid-treated COVID patients. And on top of that, when the diabetes is not well controlled. So you always take care of the sugar. You always start the patient on insulin or whatever tablets is possible, just to control the sugar for the temporary period of time. If you can't do that, or it's impossible or not possible for several reasons, then probably you are at high risk of getting mucormycosis.
So how serious is black fungus?
It's very serious. It's very serious. Because first of all, if your mind doesn't know, your eyes cannot see. So if you don't know the disease, you can't find out. And second of all, see, a patient when goes home after 10 days or 12 days of hospital stay, and if he develops a red eye, you tell the patient, okay, come to the hospital, go for another CT scan or do this case. It's very exhausting for the patients also. They can't go all the time. But we are always very skeptical about black fungus when particularly we know that is developing in our country. So you always take care of them. It's very difficult, and it has almost 50% mortality rate, more than 50%. So if 10 people get black fungus infection, there is a high chance that we are going to lose 6 out of 10, which is a huge number. So it's very risky, very bad kind of disease. So early detection is very important.
So do all COVID-19 patients have to worry about black fungus?
No, see, this is what the new trend started recently. Every day some patients are coming to my clinic, and over phone they are asking me, sir, do I have to worry about the black fungus? No, it's not about that. It doesn't mean that you have COVID. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to get a black fungus infection. So what I say, there are certain symptoms, signs and symptoms. If you have some rash in red eye, some black spots in your nostril or face, or you have a breathing problem even after COVID-19 is over, or you start having fever, then you consult your doctor. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have a black fungus, but yeah, of course, go to a doctor rather than panicking at home and thinking that always you will be the unluckiest person in the world that you are going to get the black fungus.
So what are the precautions that one can take to avoid this disease?
See, first precaution, it's just nothing much exactly they can do. First thing is that this is mostly because of from the doctor and the nursing part. We cannot, remove or eradicate the fungus from the world. It is everywhere. So what we can protect ourselves, that we can, keep our immunity in the full form, that we can keep our sugar level under control. The doctor is going to do that for you. So if you are diabetic, you are on steroid, you make sure that you are telling your doctor that to go for the sugar test, or the doctor will ask you for the sugar test. You go ahead, do it, and inform your doctor. Second of all, if you are using oxygen, it's better you use sterile water instead of any tap water in the oxygen water part of this oxygen from where the bubble comes. So these are few things which you can do. You can have a very safe or sterile oxygen delivery system. So these few things can reduce the risk of mucormycosis, but again, it's not foolproof. But yeah, that much we can do.
So what are the early signs of black fungus?
As I said earlier, you are going to get a one-sided headache. See, if I'm having a headache, whole head together, or acne, so it's most likely not black fungus. So it should be one side, either this side or this side or this particular part, one certain particular part of the body, the head or face, you are going to have a pain. At the same point of time, you can have a red eye, you can have some black spots or some white spots around the face or beside nose. You can have, I mean, after COVID, you are already fine. Then all of a sudden, you started developing some breathing problem and some cough is coming out, and also you are getting fever. In such scenario, particularly if you're diabetic, your sugar is not under control, or you were on steroid before with poorly controlled sugar, then you think of seeing a doctor.
So is black fungus curable or treatable rather?
Yes, yes. Of course, it's treatable, but the problem is it's a very sensitive area. It generally affects the mouth and face part, and we have a antifungal drug called amphotericin B. There are some other drugs also available. This drug helps, but if the fungus starts invading to your brain part, I mean, your nose, your face, your eyes are very close to your brain, so it invades your brain, then it's very difficult to cure the patient. We want it to be 0% the mortality rate, but again, there is a very good chance that you can fight that. But early detection is very important.
The world, as we all know, is fighting against pandemic, and we have a huge respect for the doctors who are the captain in this fighting, who are along with us. So thank you, Dr. Ghosh, for giving your time. Any message for us?
Thank you, Somin, to invite me in this show. The thing is, what I'd say is that it has been a difficult time for all of us. But even after the second wave is over, it's almost declining trend. We are seeing our daily case numbers are decreasing day by day. We all have gone through a tremendous pressure, mental, physical, all of us. But again, at the end of the day, we are seeing some light. Its second wave is almost over. So let's hope for a better future, and but still try to maintain the proper COVID protocols, COVID etiquettes as much as possible. Nothing as such from me.
Thank you once again for the time, Doctor.
Okay, my pleasure.